All right, welcome to the video. This is going to be a relatively short one, and it's going to be coupled with an introduction to MTGO, which is coming next. But I just want to say that I've just released my green-white Heliod scaled sideboard guide / primer / strategy stuff. Basically, this will be on my Google Drive. I will link it for you, and it basically has all my thoughts on the list. So I think I talk about why the deck is strong, some of the tricks and tips and things and choices. So why, how, and how the deck came to be, what does it do, etc. So yeah, and then I just basically give you a little bit of an in and out thing, which is kind of the most useless part of the guide if you ask me, but whatever. This is just something for you to have a reference from. And then it gives you a bit of an explanation of why we're making those choices and how you can win those matchups. And I try to cover most of the most common matches, but modern changes super quickly. You can just use this as an inspiration. When you find a new deck or a deck that is not covered, just think and figure out which kind of deck it resembles, and then you will be good. So yeah, I cover 4-color Uro, I cover Red-Black Shadow, I cover 4-color Omnath Copycat, Human. Sorry for the editing, it's kind of messy, but whatever. Google Drive is a bit hard to work with. Humans, Death and Taxes, Amulet Titan, Jaunt, Dredge, Meal, Spirits, ton of stuff. Tron, E-Tron, Oops All Spells, Devoted Devastation, and that's it. So yeah, I covered most of the most common matchups. There are of course some matchups I didn't cover, like what to do versus Storm, or what to do versus this and that. But anyway, if you know, you know. Like probably once you have read all of this, you probably have a good understanding of what you need to do in these other combo matchups. And now assume or versus decks I have not mentioned, or fairies or ninjas. I mean, like there are 1,000 decks in Modern. I kind of make a big list for everything, but this can give you an idea of what to do. So let me know if this works for you, and yeah, I'll see you in the next part of the video about how to get into MTGO. Hello everyone, in today's video we'll go over a little bit of how to get into MTGO. Recently, yesterday, they closed down all competitive card playing games until next year in Denmark, so basically I'll be playing even more MTGO than I've been playing until now. So I just thought that maybe this is a situation where you are also in and you decide, okay, now I'm gonna give a try to MTGO. So yeah, this video is for you to just to get started. I'm not gonna go, like I've seen some videos that go on for like 2 hours on this topic, since post. But I will try to keep it kind of short and just give you an intro, and then of course you are welcome to ask questions if you have more. Anyway, the first thing you should do if you want to play MTGO is the site that you want to play MTGO, and the problem is not free, because $9.99 to actually be able to play competitive events and everything. So you can download it for free and then try. You just Google MTGO, and that's just the first thing that shows up. You can get started for free and you get some random cards, some player points. Never use them, so I don't know. And avatars, which are worthless. And yeah, for $9.99 you basically get access to the whole program. So once you download it, install it, you need to make an account, and you make it just fine itself, and yeah, that's it. You're set up to go. Alright, once you have downloaded MTGO and decided to give Wizards $10, then you can get access to all the features, which are here. You've probably seen them in my videos. I'll go through them extremely quickly. But the main idea is that, yeah, these are like, yeah, some tournaments, whatever. Most of the time you don't spend any time here. So just go to your collection. And when you start, you'll have like around 1,000 cards that they're just giving you, like lands and commons and uncommons. And they have an extremely low price in MTGO. So even though you have a lot of cards, they're not worth a lot. They're probably worth around the money you give them. So here, the way this is organized, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. You can search for a card that you will have, and if you don't have it, it will not show up. Let's say I'm looking for Lotus. Have any, but if you go to quantity and you put it to 0, in case you want to find cards that are not in your collection, then you can find them and see what the fuck. They're not that expensive on MTGO. So just put them here. One, yeah. So I have none. And then before you change every search, I will just recommend you to reset off. So basically here you have all the cards you own, and then to make a deck, you basically go down here and you click add a deck. So here are basically the formats. You choose the format you like, and I mostly play Modern, so I choose Modern. Add a deck, and then you just give it a name and create it, and then you add the cards. Once you are inside the deck, let's say we're going into this deck. It's not a more recent Heliod deck, but whatever. You're here. Then what you can do is you can add cards. You can remove cards by clicking on them, double clicking on them, and you can add cards by finding them in your list and clicking them as well. So that's a very straightforward. You can add multiple cards by clicking the secondary button. If you have more, let's say I can add 3 of them because I have 3 more. But basically, you can only play with the cards that you own, and yes, the cards do cost money. So yeah, basically that's a little bit how the system works. Here is a main deck. Here's your sideboard, and you can filter in many ways. You can sort by color, by compare mana cost, by rarity. I don't know what would you do by rarity, and yeah. Then this is kind of one of the main aspects of the collection tab. So your decks, and this is what you will use to play. So it's kind of important to get familiar with this. Just play around, you know, like play around with the search criteria. Play around. You can make everything bigger or smaller as you wish. So it's kind of nice, kind of very customizable. I like this a lot about the arenas are pain in comparison. Yeah, so basically you just get familiar with this. The other thing that is relevant here is what they say here, the trading binders or trade binders. Here you can full trade list is all your cards, so don't put that. But I would just say add a trading binder. So one of the things you should add just when you start is just make a trading binder, and I'll explain later what that is. It does, and basically this is literally works like a binder. Looking at my binder before, no cards here. Oh yeah, there are. Here you put all the cards you don't need, and then you can sell them for tickets. And what are tickets, you're wondering? I'll let you know right now. So on the other products section, you have a variety of products, which most of them do nothing. Like these are the avatars that you can showcase to your opponent, letting them know that you buff a certain creature or monster. And then here you have the different currencies or stuff you can get on MTGO. These are some new player boosters that I don't think you even get anymore. So maybe I should open them. I have no idea if these are good, but normally when you open them, there's nothing in them. And I think you cannot sell them, so don't think about that. New players play points, never use them. So don't care about that. Then the next thing is the event tickets. And basically an event ticket is both a ticket to enter events and the currency of MTGO. Since you cannot directly trade cards for money on MTGO, people figure out that since these tickets can be bought and sold for around $1 a piece, then you can just equate the value of a card to a value of a ticket and exchange the tickets based on the price of the card. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. Basically, this is the currency. This is, instead of your dollars, you have your tickets. And people refer to them as ticks, like TIX. And that allows you to trade cards and enter events. Basically the main thing that these things do. So yeah, each of one of those is worth more or less $1. And then the other thing that you have is these things. You probably don't have them because you get this. So before you win, you probably need to enter an event, and I'll explain you how you do that. And then here is a treasure chest. These are treasure chests basically contain a certain amount of play points, a certain amount of event tickets, some cards, and maybe some avatars. And yeah, on the topic of play points are like tickets, but they're not transferable. So play points are basically 100 play points are equal to 1 ticket, but the only use that they have is to enter events instead of buying or selling cards. So there's basically a branching currency. You have the tickets that allow you to enter, that allow you to buy cards and enter leagues or events, and play points that only allow you to enter events. So you would preferably use this for entering events instead of the event tickets, because these have no value and they cannot be transferred. You cannot sell this to anyone. And you get these play points by winning and by opening treasure chests. Winning meant you think. All right, here in the store tab, you can buy event tickets and you can buy random stuff and boosters, basically. And these boosters behave similarly, like they would behave on reward, right? You just buy them and there's a bunch of cards inside. Most people don't do this. I'll explain why. So basically you can buy the tickets here, but they are taxable. So depending where you live, this will not cost you $1, it will cost you $1.25 plus fees. So this actually gets quite expensive. If you want to buy 10 tickets, it's going to cost you 12, like $12. Quite a lot of money. So there's ways of getting around that, of course. And then here you have decks, so you can, like just in real life, you can buy Commander decks or Planeswalkers decks if you are into that, but I honestly don't know anybody that's ever bought one of these decks, so maybe it makes sense at some point if there's a boosted card here, like maybe a Cobalt or something, yeah, like this one. But most of the time it doesn't. So this card doesn't appear, only as in paper, this card only appears when you open one of these. So of course there's a quite limited supply and you're going to need to spend like $15 to get it. And this redemption, if you collect one of each single card of set on MTGO, then you can pay $25 and redeem that set. So they will send you one of each card, you like physical form, but you will lose those cards on MTGO. So you gotta figure out. Maybe right now is not the time to redeem a set. Like people that play Ton Unlimited end up accumulating most of the set anyway. And then this is a nice way to just make it into cards, and then these cards can be sold or collected or whatever you want to do with your cards. All right, let's talk Constructed. So I'm mainly Constructed player. I don't really know how the limited queues work, but I'm pretty sure they're the same. So when you go to the Constructed tab, you have here all the Constructed, even Specialty, where I really don't know what it is, but you have all the Constructed ways of playing the game. Even Legacy and Vintage, and it's kind of relatively cheap to play Legacy and Vintage on MTGO, so if you want to try that, MTGO is for you. I've not tried it myself. But anyway, you are playing here, and there are 4 basic event types, and then there are some special ones that are marked in this golden outline. So let's go first to the so when you go to Modern Open Play, you just literally click Join, and it will create an event just this, and people can join and you can play versus them. But you will find, of course, people, this is free, so there's no stakes on it, so people will just quit whenever they see you playing something they don't like. This is a nice way to get to know the game. I'll talk a bit more about the in-game plan later. Then this Modern Tournament Practice is also free, and it's best of 3, so it's actually like a bit more legit, a bit more competitive, and it's only 25 minutes on the clock for each player. So this means that this is actually the same as a normal match on MTGO. You have 25 minutes to finish it, each player, so 25 minutes of active time playing. And then here it's kind of the same. You just join the queue and you will join the games that are open. You know, people just create them or join them, and it will be a game of a best of 3 game. But of course, again, there's no stakes to it, so people just quit. So this is a nice way to test your deck, play a bunch of games without costing you any money. But the practice that you get is rarely worth it in terms of the other leagues or like the other competitive events, because the people that play the competitive events are normally better and there's something on the line, so people will try to play harder, right, to win. Then you have like the, let's say, the entry level competitive event, which is this Modern 2-player queue. You queue for one of these playing 2 event tickets of 20 play points. You can see it's always a 10-to-1 ratio between the play points and tickets. They could have made this a different way, but they should like it like this. And you basically enter those, and when a second player enters, then you will play a best of 3 match, and then let me see, I don't really remember. So if you win 30 play points, and if you lose, you still get 5 play points. So it's like a 50%. No, you have like a 50% win ratio. You're probably good here. I need to make math, but basically this is a good way to play semi-competitive and accumulate some play points. But of course, you have no play points. You need to spend some event tickets on it, and if you lose, you only get 5 play points. Of course, anytime you're using your event tickets to enter a tournament, you normally don't get event tickets in your rewards. You normally get play points. So you gotta realize that when you spend money on an event, your money is gone in a way, unless you win, and then you can sell whatever you want. But yeah, turning event tickets into play points is not a good deal. But you can. I'm not gonna join this. This guy has cash. But if you can actually turn play points into tickets, and I'll show you now how to do that. And finally, the King of Kings. This is what you see in. This is the probably most played, I would say, event on MTGO, which is the leagues. Leagues are not leagues. The leagues are more like, well, I guess in aggregate they are leagues, but where they are is a 5 matches tournament Or you play versus people that have similar scores to you. So you play, if you're 2-0, you will play versus a guy that's 2-0, or that's 2-0, 3-1, or 1-0. You will not play versus 0-2 players. So kind of trying to keep them competitive. These are competitive. There's stakes on the line, and the prices are quite nice. Anything 3-2 or better gives you your money back and some, and 5-0 gives you a nice little trophy you can showcase to your viewers if you have a YouTube channel. Or if you win 22 trophies like this guy, trophy means going 5-0, then you will be, you know, featured in the main page of MTGO and give you, I don't know, some fame, I guess. Anybody knows who this guy is? Nobody knows who this guy is. Just telling you. Anyway, how this works is, again, it costs 100 play points to enter or 10 event tickets, and you choose a deck and you need to play the same 5 matches with the deck. And a lot of people, pros, they will drop when they go 0-2 because they don't get, like, you know, a 3-2 is kind of like low payout, but you, a new person on MTGO, should play out the whole league for both practice, and a 3-2 will give you your money back so you can play a new league. I'll show you the prices here, I'm a bit more familiar with them. So let's see, if you win only 2 games, you get 50 play points, which I think as a new player is still worth it to play out the 2-3. Because getting back half your entry fee means that if you go 2 leagues as a 2-3, you get a league for free. But if you just drop from the league, you get nothing. And if you get nothing, then basically, yeah, you need to spend more money to build those play points, right? If you go 3-2, you get 1 Magic Online Champions Series Scoopy Season 3. I'll explain that what it is in a second, or not. I don't know. I will, if that makes sense to explain or not. 100 play points, so you can basically enter another league, and 1 treasure chest. Booster. What it's called, booster. If you go 4 or better for 1, basically you get 2 Magic Online Championship Series QP Season 3, 120 play points. So you can see here, if you go 4-1, you start accumulating those play points. So if you go 5 leagues 4-1, you get a league for free. And 5 treasure chest boosters. So this is basically gravy. You can see this is gravy, and this is gravy. Black gravy here. Then if you go 5-0, you're a professional MTGO player and you hit the good side of variance. You get 5 Magic Online Championship Series QP Season 3, 150 play points, so if you do 2 5-0s, then you get 1 league for free, 11 treasure chest boosters, and 1 competitive trophy, which has absolutely no value other than showing it to people. At the end of the season, they give you some avatars if you have a lot of trophies. I guess those have some value, I don't know. So these are the rewards for mon leagues. Now, let's explain some of the other events. That's the word. The most common premium event is this Modern Preliminary. This is going to fire in 4 minutes, and what I mean by firing in 4 minutes, it means it's not going to fire in 4 minutes. So what this deck with this are is basically you join in this queues, and there's a minimum amount of players, that's 16, and a maximum there's 256. If you see an event that's 250 people, don't join. Maybe I could go fire. I will not play. So what they do in this is sort of like a premium league. So then it costs 3 times more to enter, both 300 play points or 30 event tickets. And I would really, really recommend against joining this, playing 30 event tickets. That's a lot. So don't do that. When you're good enough that you have accumulated enough play points to enter preliminary, do that. But don't do it on your first try, trying to go big or go home. That's not going to end up well. But the prices, can talk a bit about it. If you go 3 or better, 3 and 2, it's also a five match thing. Oh, the actually is going to fire. You get 300 play points, 2 treasure chest boosters. So basically, you get your money back, and so it's very nice. But these are fairly competitive. Like I mean, it's extremely competitive. People want to win here. So a lot of times you will not go 3 and 2. So you need to be prepared to lose 300 play points when you play this. And they actually are like time rounds. So you play the first round, starts, you have 50 minutes. And then the next round doesn't start until everybody's done, or the time is over, right? So actually, basically it actually takes around 5 hours to play this stuff. So you make sure you have ample time to allocate to MTGO. And what happens is a lot of times you end up playing a short game and then you wait for half an hour and then you don't know if you play a league in between, blah, blah, blah. But if you go 4-1 or better, then it's pretty juicy. You get 40 Magic Online Championship Series QP Season 3s. Recall that 5-0ing a league only gives you 5, And for winning a preliminary gives you already 40. And 40 is kind of the magic number. 450 play points, you get like basically 50% extra play points. So yeah, it pays for half a preliminary. And 6 treasure chests, which is just gravy. I will explain a bit the math window of treasure chests in a bit. And then if you go 5-0, which normally 1 or 2 people only do that in a preliminary, then you get the same 40 qualifier championship season 3 points, 600 play points, which means that it has paid for 2 other preliminaries and 12 treasure chest boosters. Again, you shouldn't join this unless you are really confident and your skills on MTGO and your skills in Magic, because this is both hard MTGO wise and Magic wise. So then the other, I will just talk about them. Every weekend there are modern challenges or format challenges. That is basically a tournament, much like this, where people join and it's a time queue, and it's basically like a GP. So depending on the amount of players who join, there's a certain amount of rounds. Then there's a cutoff for top 8, and the prices are quite nice. I don't need to go into details of the prices. You can check them out. You put modern challenge prices in on Google, you will get them. But you just basically get like a full, you get a full set of the most recent set. You get a ton of treasure chests. I think that's of course if you win. And in general, it's not a bad expected value to join them, but they are long events. So if you have to imagine that if you play 7 rounds or 8 rounds of Magic on MTGO, it's gonna take you 7 hours, maybe 7 to 8 hours. If you top 8, add 2 more to that. So you really need to have nothing else to do with your weekend, which maybe you don't because you're stuck at home like a lot of people now, and then it's a fair thing to do. So MTG one challenges can be entered by 30 tickets or 300 play points. I think so. I think that's what it costs. So again, don't join them unless you're very confident on your MTGO skills. If you're not confident, it's good to join them, but if you go 0-3 and you go back to 0 tickets, that's gonna suck. Don't do that. Then once every quarter, more or less, those challenges are changed by what is called the mocks, and I've streamed a few of those, and you can watch me on YouTube play those. And these are like probably some of the highest stakes tournaments in MTGO, probably the highest open stakes tournament on MTGO. And to join those mocks, the only way to join is by putting 40 of these qualifier points of season 3. These are these ones we talked about, and I still need to farm 11 of them anyway. So for the next one. So if you get 40 of these, you can enter one of these mocks, and it's free. You only need to pay 40 of those, so it just costs you a few hours. Anyway, if you basically it's free, and you can only enter them if you have these points, and these points are not tradable, so there's no value that is buying into the tournament. So that makes this tournament probably the most competitive out of all the tournaments in MTGO, because only like grinders of MTGO will be able to play that. If you play casually, let's say a week, maybe you win a lot, but most of the time you will not win enough to get enough qualifier points for the mocks, right? So the mocks has a lot of prizes, and I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if you do top 8 the mocks, then you go to some kind of, because this is not a mocks, it's called a mocks qualifier, and then you qualify for another qualifier, and in that qualifier, if you win, you make money, like real dollar, and that's very nice. But a lot of people don't get there. Like I play a few and never top 8 it, so it's hard. It's hard. So I wouldn't, if your goal with MTGO is to make money, anyway, that is basically the use of the QPs, and that's mainly so unless you plan on playing a ton of moxes, which means double queuing, which means being extremely skilled on the MTGO, I wouldn't bother at all with preliminaries, because it's hard, there's a lot of time commitment, and you may not get anything back. But it's nice to be able to farm through these QPs because it's kind of free, and then the prices are kind of nice. So you enter them, you win 300, 400 play, like you can get a ton of play points back, and that's how I accumulated most of my play points by doing well on these moxes. Because it costs you nothing to enter, and then you get 600 play points, and you're like, cool. All right, so now let's go into the topic of what to do with your chest. So while you've been winning, and I'm going to talk about how you get a bag and everything later. Anyway, I'll put links in the description so you can go directly to your thing. So what is the chest? The chest contains 4 slots, and some of them contains play points, some of them contain cards, some of them contain avatars, and there's some random extra stuff. You can get some extra play points. And then basically go in this thing of like, there's a 1 in a million chance that you get this. There's a 1 in 10,000 chance that you get this. So basically, This has been computed by some very smart people, and they've kind of figured out the price for this. So let's say an expected value. But expected value now is lesson in math. The expected value for the average is not your expected value. When you open one of these, most of the time you are gambling, and most of the time you will not get the expected value. You will get a bit less. That's why they're buying it to you for the expected value. So on average, if you opened thousands and thousands of these, you would break, let's say, even or a bit better even than what the people are buying you this chest for. But most of the time, those chests will be less. So unless you have a gambling problem, I suggest selling them. And why sell them? Because each one of these is worth around 2.6 to 2.7 tickets, which is a lot of money in the end. So that allows you to buy cars, allows you to do a bunch of stuff. So in the end, like for example, if I sold all of these now, it would be almost 150, almost 180, 190 tickets, which could allow me to buy almost every card I want from the next set and more. So this is accumulated through playing. If you 5-0 a lot, you get a lot of those. The difference is when you just start playing, let's say you are new to MTGO and you need to go and get some, you need to start, you decide to join a league. Then you need to purchase some tickets, and I'll show you later how to, where to purchase them for less money. Then you need to purchase some, and the amount that you need is depending on how much you plan on winning, which is kind of a shitty way of putting it, but basically, if you only buy 10 tickets and you do less than 3 to 1 a league, it doesn't bad. So what I did, I think in the beginning, I bought like 40 or 50 tickets because I also get cheaper the more you buy. So I bought like 50, I think, and I used them to start playing leagues. And of course, I lost lots of them, but eventually started winning and winning more and more, qualifying for QPs. And eventually, you just start building this kind of play point making machine, right? So you win, you make, and you get chests that you sell them, you get tickets, and you use the tickets to buy cars that allow you to keep winning. But in the beginning, I would recommend you open those tickets, because those chests, because they have the play points. So if you are interested in play points, if you don't have enough play points, and these are a lot of play points, if you don't have at least, I would say 500 play points to have like a buffer to enter like 5 leagues and not do anything on any of them. Like here, I could enter 15 leagues and just drop, and I would still have 70 play points. Then I would recommend you open this because the play points are gravy. The play points are not computed on the price of here. Of this thing. So this has a price, and it's mostly the price of the cards and the avatars in there. It's not the price of the play points, because the person that opens the play points cannot sell them. Right? So if there's a guy in an account on Mana Traders that has 1 million play points, it doesn't matter, because they cannot sell them, they cannot change them. They could maybe sell the account with extra play points. I don't think that's even legal. So play points are extra to the price of this. So if you need play points, open this, because then it's really worth it. Because you want to accumulate as many play points as possible, and sometimes you get like 1,000 play points. What the hell? That's awesome, basically. That can kind of make you in a surplus, and you never run out of play points anymore. So yeah, basically, the reason I'm not selling this chests right away is because I still have a lot of tickets to buy cards if I want to. And if I ever go down on play points, let's say I hit a terrible losing streak and I get down to 300 play points, then I can open, let's say, 10 of these to build back up, right, and have enough play points to keep playing without fearing that I have to start spending tickets on it, because tickets, as I said, are more expensive. Like this is a ticket that on top of it has some extra play points. So open this if you need tickets. I hope it makes sense. Now, let's say you have chosen to, you have understood all of this more or less, I hope. And then you decide, okay, how do I get a deck now? Because there's clearly no way in MTGO, there's very little ways to get the deck with only, you're not going to win a league with only uncommons from the latest set. So you can play limited, and also you have to pay. Or you can use this Mana Traders service. There is a rental service. So you can basically rent and sell cards. You rent the cards from Mana Traders, and you can use them. Let me explain you a little bit how this works. Basically, you just pay a certain amount each month, and then give you a maximum amount of cards you can rent. And it's not the amount of cards, it's the price of the cards that is important. And how do you figure out the price of the cards? You can look it up in Mana Traders, or you can look it up in our web pages. But the idea is they are in tickets. So if you are planning to renting a very expensive deck, then this baseline one, for example, will not suffice. Most people probably go for this one, which gives you around 400 tickets of worth of cards, which is enough to play, I would say, most modern decks unless you're playing money tribal. And then if you're into playing vintage or into playing like an extremely expensive deck like money tribal, then you maybe need this stuff. But then you can see this is extremely expensive. I mean, this is not cheap. I mean, not extremely expensive, of course, cheaper than other things, but $35 a month is no joke. If you start thinking it's gonna be around $420 a year for this, and you still don't own the cards in the end. So you keep playing this. But the thing is, if you do really good in MTGO, you can easily make more than $35 a month. I don't know how much you can make, but you can make a certain amount with this. And the same with this, if you do really good, I would say if you're playing modern, you could probably do with this depending on your deck. The ultimate is, I don't know who would need this, but I guess, yeah, money tribal players will need this. So this is one option. This is the option that a lot of the streamers will recommend because they're sponsored by Mana Traders. And this is the option to choose, especially if you don't know which deck to play. So if you just say, okay, I want to try 10 different decks, then you can pick up maybe a month of monthly subscription, try a bunch of decks and choose, okay, this is the deck I like. Or you really like changing back and forth from decks, then this is a good idea too. I like to play the same decks most of the time. So I play similar kinds of decks and they all have similar cards. So I don't use this service, I use something else. So what do I do? You know, like basically let's go first question. How do you know the price of a deck? So you can go to MTGO Goldfish, or you can go to the Mana Traders webpage, and then they have like you just look for the deck. There's a search function, or MTGO Goldfish, you can just look for the deck. This here you can select if you want to know the price in tabletop, arena, or MTGO. And if you click MTGO, then it will tell you how much 4 Hangover Walkers are worth right now on ticket. And honestly, Mono Green Harness Skills is like a really budget deck on MTGO. 53 tickets, that's basically super cheap. So that's very nice. But if you don't want to commit, again, a monthly Mana Trader subscription may do the trick. But this is only costing you around $53 or less. So, I mean, in 4 months, you probably are overpaying if you only plan on playing Mono Green Harness Skills. So basically, to get started, when you don't have any cards, the best thing to do is to go to here and say, buy from card holder. That's what I did. I don't know if this is the best thing to do. I just kind of made it. This is what I did. So I went here, you make an account, and then you can buy, sell cards. You can buy cards here. You can see when you hover your mouse over, you can see the price of the card, and arbitrage is extremely cheap, RIP. And Hangover Walker prices, or Ballistas, whatever. So let's say this is the deck you want. You have no cards for it. And forests are free, right? Or almost free, so you can so basically you just come here, and the very nice thing here is you get a discount if you pay in money. You could pay tickets if you had them, but remember that you need to pay VAT in order to get your tickets. So a lot of times it's better just pay money and you get your cards directly. So with PayPal, basically you sign up, do all that stuff, and you buy them. And you just say, I want these cards, and you buy them just like you would buy something in the supermarket, like on Amazon, whatever. And you just basically can change here the amounts, and this will be, let's say, you starting there. That's what this is what I did. I found the Harness Skills deck, which was like around 200 tickets more expensive at the time because of PayPal. And I decided, mates, I want to play a lot of MTGO. I want to get great at this game. I mean, this guy's even playing Waterloo Groove, so maybe you could get an Northern Pidlan, but it's more expensive. And I just said, add to cart, and I bought them. And then what happens? Then you go to MTGO, and at some point there will be a chat dude, or you will be a chat pop-up telling you, hey, this guy wants to talk to you. And then they will offer you a trade. And the trade will look something like this. MTGO is not the fastest program. Let's say, it will look something like this. I always like to go to level. I will explain this in a second. It looks something like this. You will open this stuff. It will open a window like this one. It's very slow. Anyway, something like this. And then basically they will have a lot of cards here. Let's say these are the cards you have bought, and they will be here. Then we'll just double click on them, and you will put them here, and you will receive. And then because you have already bought it, and the program is kind of smart, it will figure out that you have gotten all your cards and tell you, and then you just basically click submit when you've moved all your cards here, and you have the deck. Very simple stuff, very easy. And very easy way to start. If you only plan on playing harness skills, which I think a lot of my audience does, I mean, $40 for playing as many, like owning harness skills on MTGO is super good. I think it's really good. Like, I mean, it's a budget deck that you can actually win, a lot of games with. So that's awesome. So once you have that, you've gotten all your cards. You will go back to your collection. And you can either put them in manually, you will click cards and you can put it in manually once you create a deck, but also on MTGO Fish, you can click this button that says download. Then you can download the deck and as a text file. And then when you go here, you can say add deck, you click import, and then you import your latest the deck. One import. I'll click it. And it will appear something like this. All the cards. And that's awesome. Then you have a deck here. Congratulations, you have a deck in MTGO. Now what? So right now you got your deck in MTGO, whatever way, is in mana traders or this, I don't really know how mana traders works, you need to kind of figure that out, but it's basically the same. You trade, instead of trading, like it starts trading once, you trade every time you want the cards and then you return them at the end of your session, right? So then when you have decided to do this, all you have to do is buy some event tickets, and you can buy them also from Card Hoarder. You can contact them and they get cheaper the more you buy. So maybe you want to buy 10, 20, 30. I'm not going to be the one that tells you how many tickets you will need. But I think I bought around 50 as I said, and that was enough to get me started. And at some point they had also these super qualifiers on MTGO where you could qualify for a PT. So I played a bunch of those and I used a lot of tickets there, but I also did quite well, so I got a lot of play points back, and yeah, that kind of worked out in the end. Yeah, so this is so basically you will come here, Monolith, play 10 event tickets, you will have no play points, you will do good, you will come here, open your chest, get enough play points to play again, and you will keep grinding this until you start accumulating play points, and then you can start accumulating your chest. Then you start selling your chest to make more event tickets, and then you can buy cards on MTGO. And then what I do, I never go buy cards on Card Hoarder anymore. I almost always buy them on GoldBot. Alright, so what you do when you have accumulated some treasure chest, you're sitting on the comfortable amount of play points, and you want to purchase new cards on MTGO. Should you just keep spending money going to Card Hoarder? No, that's not necessary. What you can do is sell your chests. And to sell your chests, you need to open your trading binder. You need to make one. Just trading binder, or whatever you want to call it. You can call it your mom's name. Then you will click your secondary button here, and then you will say move all, like something like this. You will click this heart right now. So you want to say move to open binder, and then you will move all to your open binder. So now you can trade them. And when you have traded them, you will go to trade, and then you will search for gold bots. And that's what I recommend. I don't know if that's the best. And then there's these guys that are selling or buying chests. These guys are buying MTGO tickets. See, they're actually quite cheap. So you can tell a ticket is more expensive to buy than to sell. So you'll open the gold bots bot. It's just double click them, and then they need to wait. They are bots, but they are like kind of like humans. So then they will say, oh, we're interested in this treasure chest. Then it will tell you, please pick up 165 event tickets from my trading thing and move them. So you will come here on the other products binder, you'll be, oh, this is a nice avatar, but you'll skip that because you're smart playing, you don't spend money on this. You will scroll all the way down and you'll find the tickets. And then you will just click here and you will say add more to trade, and you will add the 166 tickets they told you. And whatever is, like, you will be wondering, but tickets don't have halves. Why does it always says half? It's because the bot chain will remember how much tickets does it owe you. So you give them one ticket for something, and in reality only costs 0.3 tickets. They will save this 0.7 for you for your next purchase. So that kind of makes it more like you are, I call it, loyal. Anyway, you put them here, you move the tickets, you will sell them, and you'll get your tickets in your account. So I will cancel this trade right now. And then you will come here, back in your collection, And then you will have new tickets here, 100 of them, and you will do the same thing. You will move them all to your trading binder. And you go back to the gold bots, and now you have tickets to trade. So now you can sell your tickets for cards. And then basically, you can choose the cards from, they have almost all the cards, these guys. And you can choose those cards and put them into your, and yeah, basically you will trade them for tickets. Or cards. If you have cards that you don't want, you can also put them there. So let's say, yeah, you were looking for a Lurus, and I don't know, you're just curious, you're just, oh, look at all these cards. They're more nice. I don't know, you just choose whatever. Let's say you want Blink Mod Nexus because you some money. You decide to pick the nice art. And it tells you, okay, it's too cheap, so let me get something more expensive. Block Crypt. Oh yeah, the Block Crypt is worth this, and then basically you will move. Let me just advance move. It will tell you, okay, you need to give me 13 tickets for it. They will automatically take it. So they have, like, say, the bot has the same view of your items. And then if you click submit ticket, which I'm not going to do because I don't give a shit, then you will give them those tickets and they'll give you the cards. So that's how you go infinite on MTGO. Once you win enough, you turn your third chest into event tickets. You can use those event tickets to buy cards. Or you can sell those event tickets for, you can sell them to people. And maybe you can sell them for $0.9 per ticket, which could be kind of a nice price. A lot of streamers sell a lot of them. Or you can sell them to code bots or whoever directly. They sell them for, they're buying them for 0.74 to 0.6663. It's not a lot, but you have lots of them and nobody wants to buy them. So they do. Actually, I'm just curious what they say here. Maybe you buy them and then they transfer you the money. I really don't know. I've never sold a ticket for money. And then eventually, one day, if you want to quit MTGO, you could sell all your tickets and... yeah, I don't know why it's buying me this thing, man. They're like so... and then, I don't know what you can do, actually. I mean, I had never done this. But anyway, you could sell your tickets somewhere and then make some real money, basically. You can tell here, this basically been, this chess has been product of like maybe a month of playing. So, you know, you actually can make some money out of MTGO if you want to, but I normally save it because I know that when the new set releases, I want to buy the cards, so I don't want to spend any more money on MTGO. Basically, if you keep winning enough, and this will take a while, actually, to get, then you will be able to just, you know, not worry about it anymore and just get all the cards. Except if you want to play like a deck like Money Tribal, because then you will have to spend a lot of money on it. If you look at this, it's costing around 874 tickets. So then, of course, you need the most expensive, or 1,200 tickets. I don't know, insane. Then you will need to spend to get the most expensive of the services on Mana Traders, or spend 1,200 tickets, which is a lot of money. I wouldn't recommend starting with 4-color Uro. I would recommend starting with a more budget. There's a lot of decks that are relatively cheap on it. And what I would recommend you, and this also goes for paper, is that if you like a deck, like if you like deck type, for example, I like green decks. So if you look, I have the Yagmoth deck, which, you know, has a lot of cards. Okay, this is that. I have the Yagmoth deck, which has a lot of cards that are in common more or less with all the decks I play, like Ether Vial, Paradise. It has some Blooming Marshes that I use on the Lurus version of the Harness Scale. It has a Tom. So a lot of these cards have some overlap with the other decks I play. And it's the same with the Heliod deck, you know, like I play this, so I have, oh, this is not a Heliod, this is a really creative, man. I need to put some order here. But anyway, this is the Heliod deck. So the Heliod deck has a lot of cards in common with the Yagmoth deck and other decks, right? So I like to play more or less the same kind of decks all the time, right? So for example, when you already bought your Ballistas, then you can play Heliod for more cheap because the Ballistas you don't have to buy, etc. So if you're planning on playing a subset of decks, then buying them makes sense. If you plan on playing, today I'm going to play Inverter. Why I said Inverter. Today I'm going to play Omnath. Tomorrow I'm going to play Shadow. Day after I'm going to play Devoted Devastation. And then I'm going to play Obso Spells. And, you know, like if that is your plan, then it doesn't make sense to buy the cards because you will be continuously buying and you continuously will need to put money. That is much better to rent. But if you want to play a deck and play it consistently, then I would recommend you buy it. Anyway, guys, that is the video. I hope this made sense. I hope this was a quick but informative enough way of looking at the MTGO world. I really recommend you join it. I think this is kind of what elevated my game from being... Basically, what happened is when the quarantine hit, I started playing a lot more MTGO. I used to not play a lot of MTGO. I would play maybe a league every second week or something like that. But then when quarantine hit, I decided to make the YouTube channel because I was a bit bored. And I started playing a lot more MTGO. I started to play more like super qualifiers and PPQs and all that on MTGO. And challenges, leagues, and that really elevated my game tremendously. First, because MTGO, it forces you to go through every action. You cannot... on paper you can make mistakes and nobody notices, or you can cut corners, but MTGO you have to make every action in order to win. So that really makes you a more technical player, but also exposes you to a much faster changing metagame and to a lot of players that may be better than the players you would find on LGS. So overall, all of this together allows you to do faster the game, and then basically when, let's say, the hard quarantine was over around June, July, I started joining my LGS again. I remember I always went something like, it was 6 rounds, I would go maximally, I think once I went 4-2, but most of the time I would go like 2-4 or 3-3. I was like middle table and below kind of player. Since I came back, I don't think I was only one tournament where I didn't go 4-1 or better. Like I won so many tournaments and I did so well in almost all of them. And the only reason, I felt like I was in this hyperbolic time chamber, like like they enter in Dragon Ball Z. So I entered it, I came back, and I was like a much improved player compared to the rest of you, which had been the same. So yeah, I won a lot thanks to that. So I recommend, if your goal is to be the best Magic player you can be, or you just want to play Magic in these times of quarantine, MTGO is the way to go. I would rather play MTGO than Arena, because in MTGO, you own all these cards eventually, or you get real prices. There's a real stakes to playing it. Whereas in Arena, it feels like when I play, there's no stakes. You just play the game to grind and grind and go up this ladder. And only a few games every 3 months or every 2 months count when you go into these qualifier weekends. But the rest of the time, it's just to grind and get up in there, right? So, whereas in MTGO, you don't really need to do that. You can play as little as you want or as much as you want, still gain a lot of nice prizes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know if this was useful. See you in the next one.